are. Looking forward to that. Harry, thank you. Coming up next on NBC Nightly News, more on the deadly shooting outside the Empire State Building, and we'll see you at 11. Have a good night.
On the broadcast tonight, shootout at the Empire State Building. 2 dead, 9 wounded. Innocent bystanders who may have been caught in police crossfire. On alert as Isaac barrels through the Caribbean, picking up steam and taking aim at the Gulf Coast. A tropical storm watch just issued. What now for the big GOP convention in Tampa? Was it a joke? What Mitt Romney said on the campaign trail today that immediately erupted in controversy. Banned for life and stripped of his titles, Lance Armstrong gives up on the fight over doping and pays a heavy price. But is it fair? Nightly News begins now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Brian Williams.
Good evening. I'm David Gregory in Washington, in for Brian tonight. We begin with the eruption of gunfire and mayhem just outside one of the world's most famous landmarks, a place that millions visit every year, the Empire State Building. This morning, right in the middle of rush hour, as people were trying to get to work and tourists had already started lining up to visit the building's observatory high above Manhattan, a man who had lost his job nearby unleashed a deadly revenge attack on a former co-worker, and that triggered a hail of gunfire that in the end left 9 innocent people hurt. It was the latest eruption of gun violence in a summer that has seen far too much of it. We begin tonight with NBC's Lester Holt at the Empire State Building. Lester.
David, I walk by this stretch of Fifth Avenue on a regular basis and can tell you at 9 o'clock in the morning it's about as busy as you see now. Lots of tourists, lots of office workers. And so the police officers who had to challenge an armed killer on these streets faced every cop's worst nightmare, trying to fire at a moving target on a sidewalk packed with innocents. Images taken by passers-by and from offices show the dead and wounded cut down in the shadow of one of the world's most famous buildings.
Midtown South Charlie sector, unconfirmed 10-10 shots fired. West 33rd Street at 5th Avenue, several shots fired.
There are multiple people shot in front of Empire State Building.
Police say it began when 58-year-old Jeffrey Johnson, who a year ago had been laid off from his job as a designer at an apparel business, confronted a company executive on a side street, pushed him to the ground, stood over him, and shot him.
Johnson produced the pistol and fired at close range, striking his 41-year-old victim in the head.
Steve Ercolino died at the scene. Anthony Collins worked in the lobby.
Very nice man, comes in, says hello, very respectful.
Meantime, Johnson rounded the corner onto busy Fifth Avenue. Alerted by a construction worker who saw the shooting from this scaffolding, 2 NYPD officers assigned to a roving anti-terror squad tried to stop him. Police say Johnson then pointed his .45 caliber handgun at the officers, who then opened fire on him. 16 shots in all, killing Johnson.
We have 2 civilians shot. The purpose shot. You have the EMS on scene. We're getting a report down there. 4 people shot.
I heard 5 or 6 shots. I seen people running. Then I heard somebody yell saying, he's shooting. He's got a gun. He's shooting.
When the shooting stopped, 9 pedestrians, 5 women and 4 men lay wounded on the ground. Police say the suspect's gun had only an 8-round clip. Police say it's likely all of those wounded were hit by stray police rounds.
We don't know. There's speculation that that's what happened, but we do know that we have on tape the perpetrator pulled his gun out and tried to shoot at the cops. Whether he got off any bullets or not, to be determined. How many he shot earlier to be determined. We do know that the cops fired back. The tape clearly shows the guy has the gun out and is trying to kill the police officers.
You heard the mayor mention tape. There were surveillance cameras rolling, and they took in a lot of what happened here. Those who were wounded were told none of the injuries are life-threatening. As for the weapon Johnson had, police say it was legally purchased in Florida in 1991, but it was not legally registered here in the city of New York. Back at the scene, Fifth Avenue, this part of Midtown Manhattan, only reopened just a couple of hours ago after a day, David, of long and tiring disruptions for New Yorkers.
Lester Holt, you've been on the scene all day. Lester, thank you very much.